So this video is intended to be a brief review of savings and consumption functions. So a savings function is simply a function or an equation that relates savings and disposable income. So it says, given, let's say disposable income was $10, I saved this much. Or let's say I saved this much, then my disposable income was blank. And then a consumption function does exactly the same for consumption. It says if I consumed $20 worth of stuff, then my disposable income was, let's say, $30. And then if my disposable income was, say, $30, then I consumed $20 worth of stuff. So that's all that they are, is they're equations that relate savings or consumption to disposable income. So I've gone ahead and made a table here, and all that we're going to do to start off is just fill in the table. So if my disposable income is $0 and I consume $10, then I must have taken $10 out of my savings. So that's the very starting point. When disposable income is 0, I consume $10, I still need to eat. So I don't save anything. In fact, I take money out of my savings, and I take $10 out of my savings, or I save negative $10. So now let's say my disposable income is $10. Then I'm going to say, I just made this number up, I'm going to consume $17. So the difference, 17 minus 10, means that I took out $7 from my savings. So if I consumed, just one more time, if I consumed $17 worth of stuff and I only had $10 worth of disposable income, then I had to have taken $7 out of my savings. Now if I have $20 of disposable income and I take $4 out of my savings, so I save negative $4, then I must have consumed 20 minus negative $4, which would be $24. Do you see how that makes sense? If I had $20 to spend, basically, that's what disposable income is stuff that you can choose how to dispose of, and then I still took another $4 out of my savings, I must have consumed $24. Now, if I have $30 in disposable income, and I consume $31 worth of stuff, I must have taken $1 out of my savings. And finally, you guys should kind of have the hang of it by now. If I have $40 of disposable income and I save $2, then I've consumed $38 worth because I put away $2 into my savings. And we could even do this one farther. So let's go ahead and say that our disposable income is $50. Then just to continue this relationship, I don't know if you've noticed, but this has been going up by 3 every single time. Plus 3, plus 3. So this will be, I'll save $5, and I will consume, this one has been going up by 7 for every $10 in disposable income. So I will go ahead and consume 38 plus 7 is 45. So from here, now we're going to actually write out equations, algebraic equations, for the consumption function and the savings function. So we'll start with a consumption function. It's probably a little easier to wrap your head around. So C, we'll let that be consumption, is equal to, when disposable income is 0, that gives you your intercept for the consumption function. So we know that when disposable income is 0, we consume 10. So that's the intercept for our consumption function. And we know that for every extra $10 in disposable income, we consume $7. So our slope here will be 7/10, or I'd rather write that as a decimal. We'll have 0.7 times, and then y is normally the symbol that we use for disposable income in this situation. So that's our consumption function. That's all that it is. And now there's two ways to get to the savings function. We can go the long way, which is to do it out just like we did the consumption function, kind of looking at the relationship between disposable income and savings. Or we can simply find the inverse of the consumption function. We can do either of those. So we're going to do it the long way first, and just so that you can see how it goes. So we will see that savings is equal to, the intercept is negative 10, because when disposable income is 0, savings is negative 10. So that will be negative 10, And then for every 10 that disposable income goes up, saving goes up by 3, so plus 3/10 times y. Or the other way that we could write that, just to be consistent, 0.3 times y. So what did I mean when I said you could just take the inverse of the consumption function? Well, what I meant, and this is one way to look at taking the inverse, is that you can flip the sign of the intercept, and then for the slope you can do 1 minus the slope of the consumption function to get the savings function. So 1 minus 0.7 is equal to 0.3. And 0.7, this is the slope of the, I'm going to just say CF for consumption function. And then 0.3 is the slope of the savings function. And I'm just going to write SF. So again, you can flip the sign. So this was a positive, now you have a negative. And then do 1 minus the slope of the consumption function to get to the savings function. So there are two more really quick things that I want to say about the savings and consumption function. And that's this, that the slope of the savings function, another way to call this is the marginal propensity to consume. And I'll write that out. The marginal propensity to consume. And all that that means is that for every extra dollar I get, so if I get $1, I spend, and in this case I spend 70 cents. I spend 0.7 of $1. And that's it. It's the slope of the consumption function is the marginal propensity to consume. And the exact same thing is true for the savings function. The slope of the savings function is the marginal propensity to save. And again, that's just if I get one for every additional dollar that I have in disposable income, I save 30 cents. So for every $1, so an increase in $1 of disposable income of Y, I save 30 cents. And that's all that the marginal propensity to save is. It's just a fancy way of saying for every additional dollar of disposable income, I save this percent of it. And then the last thing that I want to say is that the marginal propensity to save, the MPS, plus the marginal propensity to consume is equal to 1, always. Always, always, always. And so we can see how we got this little relationship right here. We were just flipping this equation down here around. So that's all that I want to say about savings and consumption functions and the marginal propensity to save and the marginal propensity to consume. And I'll see you in the next video.